经把所有股票都卖掉了。
已经卖了。
嗯。
你卖了为什么也不跟我讲呀？辞职也不跟我讲，卖股票也不跟我讲，什么都不跟我讲是吧？
That day, the air on the set was light but a little tense. We were preparing for a big scene, quite an emotional and complicated scene for Zhao Jinmai. All the crew knew that Jinmai was a perfectionist. He always wants to be perfect in every dialogue, in every eye movement, even in every breath pause. But precisely because of this, sometimes his face looks too serious, as if the world stopped for just one line of the script. I, who happened to be one of the script team's assistants, often watched from afar. There was something interesting every time the camera hadn't started recording yet, and it was always related to Zhang Linghe. Somehow, the man had the magical ability to make the atmosphere change completely. As the atmosphere began to tense up, he appeared with a relaxed smile, as if carrying some fresh air that made everyone laugh without cause. The same day, Zhao Jinmai sat on a chair. The manuscript in his hand looked already shabby as it was folded and unfolded many times. I saw him staring at the script with a wrinkled forehead, his lips muttering softly, trying to memorize line after line of emotional dialogue. Meanwhile, Zhang Linghe stood by the monitor, talking briefly with the director, but his eyes kept glancing towards Jinmai. There was a small smile on the corner of her lips, a smile that only appeared when she was thinking about flirting with someone. And I knew, in a matter of seconds, this serious atmosphere would turn into a scene that wasn't in the script. Sure enough, Zhang Linghe walked over while carrying a glass of coffee in his hand. With a casual step and a serious contrived face, he stood next to Zhao Jinmai and said, "If you keep staring at the script that deep, the letters will move to your forehead, you know?" Zhao Jinmai was surprised, turning his head with a half-puzzled expression. "What? Look," he said again, pointing to his own brow. "Here will appear the inscription, dialogue line 27. I'm sure that will happen if you keep memorizing the script without a break." The calm atmosphere was instantly broken by laughter. Some of the crew who were preparing the lights held back their laughter, while I myself almost knocked the pen out of the hand. Zhao Jinmai couldn't help but smile, even though he was clearly trying to maintain his authority. "Linghe Ge," he said in a made-up annoyed tone. "You are." But seriously, Zhang Linghe cut in, this time with a softer expression. "If you are too stiff, then the expression is not natural. Sometimes the best things come from being relaxed. You already know it by heart, I know it. Now just let it go." It was a simple sentence, but the way he said it made everyone pay attention. In the world of acting, such words sound like advice from colleagues who understand art, but between them, they sound like sincere and warm support. Zhao Jinmai looked at him for a moment, then lowered his head. But this time it was not out of nervousness or stress, more like holding back a chuckle. "All right, I'll try to relax," he said slowly. Zhang Linghe patted his shoulder lightly. "Good. But if you start straining again, I'll show up behind the camera wearing a panda mask." "Don't go crazy," Zhao Jinmai exclaimed with a loud laugh. And that laugh, for us crew, was a precious moment. Because as soon as Zhao Jinmai laughed, the filming atmosphere changed completely. Everything became more lively. A few minutes later, when the shooting began, I noticed something interesting. In that scene, Zhao Jinmai had to stare at Zhang Linghe with an expression between awe and sadness. But what we see on the monitor is much more than that. There was something that was not written in the script, a kind of natural warmth in their eyes. The director even fell silent after the scene was completed. "Cut. Good. This is very natural," he said with a smile. And yes, I know why. Because behind the scenes, Zhang Linghe had already managed to dilute that rigidity in his own way. With laughter, with small jokes, and with an attitude that made everyone feel comfortable around him. The following days, similar events were often repeated. For example, when Zhao Jinmai forgot an important line of dialogue and his face immediately panicked, Zhang Linghe hurriedly said, "It's okay, I also often forget." even my own name sometimes. Zhao Jinmai spontaneously looked at him while laughing. How could you forget your own name? Seriously, he said with flat but witty eyes. Yesterday when the crew called Linghe, I looked back, thinking it was someone else. The whole team laughed loudly. Even the well-known director of discipline shared a small smile. Every time it happened, the atmosphere on set became lighter. Zhao Jinmai began to memorize the script while laughing, sometimes joking back. Sometimes he pretended to imitate Zhang Linghe's serious style when acting. You know, he said, imitating in a heavy tone, human feelings cannot be governed by logic. Zhang Linghe, who heard that, immediately pretended to protest. Hey, I never said that much. I'm just using a deep tone, not trying to be a philosopher. How similar, said Jinmai. The camera was laughing. Then I can copy you too, Zhang Linghe replied, and then with an innocent face he mimicked Jinmai's nervous expression that liked to bite his lips before the scene began. It's the nervous version of Jinmai, he said, biting the tip of his tongue. The whole set laughed again. Zhao Jinmai covered his face with the script, holding back embarrassment. I'm not like that, he said as he pushed Zhang Linghe's arm. But everyone knows, it's a beautiful form of familiarity. Two co-workers who are already close enough to be able to joke with each other without being awkward. As a long-time collaborator in many productions, I know such relationships are rare. As a rule, young actors and actresses who are just working together tend to keep their distance, especially in large projects. But between the two of them, the atmosphere was different. There is no distance, no pressure. Only two people really enjoyed their process in front of the camera. Zhang Linghe had his own way of making the people around him feel safe. He never dominates the conversation, but always knows when to talk and when to be silent. Whenever Zhao Jinmai began to seem awkward, he came up with small jokes, but always within polite limits. Once upon a time, it rained suddenly on the site. We were all running around looking for shelter. Zhao Jinmai looked busy holding the script so as not to get wet. Without thinking, Zhang Linghe immediately opened his jacket and covered the heads of the two of them. I just need you to memorize the script, not the wet script, he said lightly. Zhao Jinmai laughed under the jacket, while the crew shouted, teasing them. But the most interesting thing is not the scene, but the expression on their faces. Two people who enjoy simple company in the rain, without the need for many words. A few weeks after that, as the schedule got tighter, I noticed a small change in Zhao Jinmai. He no longer sat alone in a corner holding the script with a tense face. Now, whenever I pass by the rest area, I see him and Zhang Linghe sitting side by side, marking lines of dialogue with colorful markers. Sometimes they challenge each other, wrote like a game. If you're one of those words, Zhang Linghe said, you should buy me bubble tea. What if you're wrong? Zhao Jinmai asked with a sharp gaze. I'll buy you too, he replied quickly. And as can be guessed, they both ended up buying bubble tea for the whole crew because both failed to hold back laughter in the middle of memorization. As someone who was behind the scenes, I felt lucky to be able to witness such an interaction. There are times when the atmosphere on set can be tiring. Hot lights, tight schedules, tight time. But every time Zhang Linghe and Zhao Jinmai were in the same place, it felt like new energy was spreading throughout the team. They are not only two talented actors, but also two personalities who know how to appreciate the process. Jinmai is meticulous and full of details, and Linghe is relaxed but sharp, reading atmosphere. The combination created a harmony that was rare on the set. One night, when filming ended later than usual, I noticed the two of them still sitting on the steps of the set. The lights had already been partially turned off, leaving only the soft light from the studio bouncing in their faces. Tomorrow the scene is heavy again, Zhao Jinmai said with a sigh. It's hard, but there I am, Zhang Linghe replied casually. If you get nervous, I'll sing. Sing? You're trying to make me forget the dialogue, aren't you? No, but if you laugh, that's a sign you've relaxed. So the goal is achieved. Zhao Jinmai laughed, this time sincere and light. You are strange, Linghe. "It's not funny," he said. "Just knowing how to make the atmosphere not as serious as the script." They both laughed a little, then looked back at the script. I stared from afar, and for some reason, the atmosphere was warm. In the middle of a cold night, there are two young people who help each other grow. Not just as actors, but as friends who understand each other's rhythms. When filming finally finished a few weeks later, the atmosphere on set was melancholy. Many took pictures, gave each other farewell hugs, and of course, Zhang Linghe did not miss the opportunity to throw his last joke. "You know what, Jimmy?" he said as they signed the last poster. "During this shoot, I learned one important thing." "What is it?" "If you're too serious, I should be ready to be a clown." Zhao Jinmai laughed until his eyes were watering. "You're a professional clown." "Thank you. But at least, this clown helps you memorize the script faster," he replied with a wink. And sure enough, that night all the crew agreed. There was no more beautiful moment than seeing the two of them laughing together. As a person who watched from beginning to end, I can say one thing for sure. Zhang Linghe is not only a good actor in front of the camera, but also a wonderful colleague behind the scenes. He knows that the success of a scene depends not only on the dialogue, but also on the mood of the performer. While Zhao Jinmai, with his great dedication, found a new balance thanks to those little jokes. He learns that professionalism doesn't have to mean rigor. Sometimes just a little laughter is part of the process. They are both perfect examples of how hard work and cheerfulness can go hand in hand. And every time I watch the final result of the play on the screen, I am always reminded of the days on the set, of the sound of laughter, of spontaneous jokes, and of the moment when Zhang Linghe said lightly, "If you're nervous, I'll sing." That simple sentence now feels meaningful. Because behind it, there is caring, there is support, and there is a warmth that makes the two names, Zhang Linghe and Zhao Jinmai, not just colleagues, but two young souls who find a common rhythm between script, laughter, and camera light.